Agenda, a full program for today. We're going to go ahead and get going. Go ahead and continue eating. I'll try to disrupt you too much, but we do have a full program. We're going to jump right in. So welcome to the November Chamber of Commerce Luncheon. Good to see everybody. I think I said this last time I was up here. It's been a tough couple of years. The numbers are looking better, things are looking better, so it's always great to get back and see everybody and get out and do normal things, if there's such a thing anymore. So we've got a great program today. Our presenting sponsor is the City of Olive Branch, and our silver sponsor is Bank Plus. So we're looking forward to what they have to say today, and we'll get to that here shortly. Before that, we'll have our invocation by Jerry Brooks, who's the senior pastor at the First Baptist Church here in Alabama.
So much, and I just want to say a word of just gratitude to all of you and your love for the community here at Olive Branch, and just thankful to share this time, this meal with all these families and celebrating. It's a blessing to be a part of. So let's pray together. Heavenly Father, we see today as an incredible gift from you, God, and the fact that we have seen that sun rise and shine is another reminder of your grace and your incredible love and your incredible care. And God, I want to thank you, Lord, for the great privilege to call the city of Olive Branch our home. That God, it is a special place. Myself, my family, we love this place. And God, I just thank you so much for all of those men and women who over the years have poured in and serving the city and community and made it such an incredible place, God. And so, Father, for this day, we say a special just word of gratitude for this delicious meal that we've been able to share and see it as a gift from you. And I thank you for the privilege to be able to celebrate alongside these families and inductees today that have made an incredible impact in this place. And so, God, I pray that this will be a day they'll never forget and will be an incredible blessing for their families. And I thank you for every elected leader that's represented, Lord, in this position of leadership that you placed them in, God, to serve this place and serve this people. I pray, God, your grace over them. And thank you for the work of the chamber. Just an entity that exists to serve and make this such a wonderful place to live. So, God, we say we love you, we praise you, God, and we thank you most of all for the life and life to the full that is found through a relationship with Jesus Christ. And so, God, we praise you for your life, your death, your burial, and your glorious resurrection. And so, Father, now as we continue through this time, I pray, God, that you will be honored and glorified. And again, Lord, that this would just be an incredible memory-making day for so many people supporting and making Olive Branch such an incredible place to live. God, we love you and we praise you in Jesus' name. Amen.
Amen. If y'all will stand, and then we'll say the pledge of allegiance. The pledge of allegiance
to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
All right, thank you very much. New members, they're in attendance today. If you will, when I call your name, stand and remain standing until we get through the list. Please hold your applause until we get to the end. Circle H Trucking, Nicholas Hamilton, John Hamilton. Turnkey Realty, Sharon Newell. Park Place Tax and Accounting, Jennifer Brown. North Central Connect, Michael Beltani. Private Financial, Tanya Crean. Mad Lab Nutrition, Miranda Williams. Fair Opportunity 17, Patrick Fair. Rejuvenate HR, Brittany Young. Mississippi Travel Advisors, Vicki Newman. KP's Perfect Printing with Kendra T. Did I miss anybody that's here as a new member? Thank you all for attending. Thank you. For a list of all our current members, current new members that is, they are listed in your program, so feel free to check those out. If it's your first time attending our luncheon and you would like to stand and introduce yourself, please do so. They introduce the guests that you brought with you. You're welcome to do that now. We'd love to hear from you. This is your first luncheon to attend. I know there's one in the audience. I'm going to call him out if he doesn't stand up here pretty soon. Thanks, Barney. Welcome. Anybody else? All right, so before we get to our speakers, we do have an exciting announcement that we want to make. As you know, the Christmas parade is this year on December the 4th at 2 o'clock. We're looking forward to that. And we are honored to have Police Chief Don Gammage and his wife as this year's parade marshal. So we wanted to recognize them today. Thank him for all his years of service and everything he's done for our community. So we're glad to have him and his wife as our parade marshal this year. So, as I said, our silver sponsor today is Bank Plus. Brian Katherine, Senior Vice President of DeSoto County, has a few comments about Bank Plus. We look forward to hearing from him. I know we have a full day today, so I'm going to make it quick. Kind of like my grandfather, when I was a young man going to church, I had a new preacher come down to a meeting, and the preacher was calling my grandfather, and he was quite a character anyway, and he was saying, you know, sometimes I just get carried away, and so, you know, how long do I want me to preach? My grandfather said, that'll be, don't worry about it, preach as long as you want to, but we all going home at 12. So, I know we got to go, so we're going to let this go. So, first, I'd like to thank the City of Olive Branch and the Chamber for allowing Bank Plus to be a silver sponsor today. And at this time, I'd like for all the Bank Plus employees in attendance today to stand and be recognized. My name is Brian Cashin, and I'm Senior Vice President and Senior Commercial Lender for Bank Plus in DeSoto County. And as all you know in the banking world, there's a direct correlation between the length of a man's title, the years of his service, and the color of his hair or lack thereof, which means basically I'm old. So I've hit the trifecta on that. But real quick, Bank Plus, the Mississippi Banking Corporation, located in regional Mississippi. We now have branches from throughout Mississippi, Louisiana, and Alabama. We're approximately $6 billion in assets, which really makes us a large community bank system. I know I'm about to show my age again, but I love watching TV, but I do not do any of the streaming. So again, kind of showing my age there because I don't do any of the new things there. And that comes along with that. I have to watch commercials sometimes. And has anybody seen the Progressive insurance commercial where it says here, at Progressive, we can't protect you from being your parents, but we can protect your home and auto if you bundle with us. Has anybody seen those commercials? So with that being said, my favorite one is the one where they're trying to teach them how to use their computer and their iPhone. And that reminds me of my parents when I'm trying to help them with their computer and iPhone. And I'm thinking, gosh, this is me. This is where I'm headed. So with that being said, what I gathered from that is basically the changes that has happened to the banking industry over the last 25 years. When I first started at the bank in Olive Branch in 1996, we've had messages on notepads. We used a fax machine. Somebody probably know what a fax machine is. I can remember when we got the first ATM in Olive Branch, then followed by the debit card, and then we thought we were hot stuff when we got issued, the bank issued BlackBerries where we could get our emails. We thought we were something. So technology has changed the banking world as we know it. Everything today can be accessed, used, or fixed using your cell phone. In the last 20 years, we went from notepads to Zoom meetings. So with that being said, because of technology, about 75% of our customers never darken the door of the bank. Everything is done with direct deposit, check cash and deposit.
all of those things on a day-to-day basis. So we actually have to continually change to keep up with technology and the younger generation. But one thing, Bank Plus, like many others, has all the updated platforms to handle that need. But one thing I'm proud to say is that Bank Plus has continued the commitment to personal service. We're continuing to be active in our communities and make customer service our main priority. Even though technology has changed some of the ways we do business, the need for A1 personal service is committed to by Bank Plus. So when I think about customer service, I immediately think about the two 21 inductees being honored here today, Mr. Jim Davis and Judy Fairfield. Both of these were longtime members of the Olive Branch business community, and they have the highest respect of their peers and customers. Both of these individuals have made long-lasting remarks on their family and friends. While Miss Judy, as I used to call her, is here today with us in spirit, her family has continued on her business and share her commitment to personal service. As Mr. Davis is here today, with us today, now a retired banker, and I'm not going to ask him anything about his title length or how long he served. I can tell by his hair how long that was. So, since his retirement, Jim has continued his passion for rabbit hunting as well as spreading goodness to the people he's in contact with as well as those that before. So I would tell you today that Progressive Insurance has it all wrong. I think we should all hope to be like our parents, especially if they're like Jim and Judy. And I think the world will be a better place for it. I would like to take this opportunity to congratulate them and their families for this prestigious award. Lastly, at Bank Plus, it is our mission to provide great customer service as we continue to support our community. Bank Plus, it's more than a name, it's a promise. Thank you.
Thank you, sir. I think my favorite is when they say we're going to learn how to attach a document to an email and everybody backs up. All right, so today's presenting sponsor is the City of Olive Branch. Jay Nichols, who's the Communications Manager, will do the introductions for the city.
Thank you, Chris. Thank you, Chamber, for allowing us to do this today. Thank y'all for being here and supporting this. This is a great day. We're glad to be here, and congratulations to Chief Gammage for that great honor as well. I'm just going to give a brief overview of the Hall of Fame, then we're going to have others that are going to come up and speak on behalf of those who are being inducted. It's a little different today in that we have two that were inducted last year, but because we didn't have the luncheon, we wanted to give them an opportunity to be recognized here at this luncheon today. So we've invited them here today as well. But the Olive Branch Hall of Fame is the highest honor that the city can bestow on one of its citizens. It began in 2007 as a way to honor and perpetuate the memory of those whose contribution to this community has had a meaningful impact on the development of Olive Branch or who have led exemplary lives as members of the community. As of today, there are 67 individuals that have been inducted into the Olive Branch Hall of Fame. We're honored today to have several of those here today. I'm going to ask the Hall of Fame board if they would please stand and be recognized at this time, and would you please remain standing? This board is the ones who conduct the nominating process each year, and they participate in the balloting to determine who will be inducted into the Hall of Fame each year. So we owe them a great debt of gratitude for their service. So y'all please remain standing while we go through this. If there are any others that are here today that have been inducted into the Hall of Fame, would you please stand as well? 2, 3, and if y'all remain standing as well. Mr. Oscar, go ahead. You can stand as well, please, because you were inducted last year as well. So each one of these individuals is responsible for the balloting process. So they're sent the ballots to determine who will be inducted into the Olive Branch Hall of Fame each year, along with the board. Now, some of you out here may have a family member who has been inducted into the Hall of Fame. I would respectfully ask if you would stand to stand in for that person who's been inducted into the Hall of Fame. So But as you can see, we have a good cross-section here of people that have made such a powerful impact on our city. So would y'all please give these individuals a hand. The city of Olive Branch is often recognized as one of the best places to live in America. Great leadership, public safety, and citizens like these Hall of Fame inductees who give of themselves to make our city better play a key role in making Olive Branch a great place to live, work, worship, and play. Thank you for all you've done and continue to do for the city of Olive Branch. As I mentioned earlier, we were unable to do this last year for those that were inducted, but we did do pictures and we gave them their plaques last year. So today we're going to honor Mr. Tommy Doddridge, Mr. Oscar Giesland, who are the 2020 recipients, and Ms. Judy Fairfield and Mr. Jim Davis, who are our 2021 inductees. Would y'all please stand and be recognized at this time? And family members of Judy Fairfield are right here as well. Y'all can stand as well. Thank y'all so much. This luncheon has always provided a great opportunity for business leaders and professionals to learn about those who came before them and paved the way to enjoy what Olive Branch is today. As with others inducted before them, Mr. Doddridge, Mr. Giesland, Mrs. Berryhill, and Mr. Davis have set an example for others to follow and left an invaluable mark on the great city of Olive Branch. We celebrate with these inductees and their families for this great honor, and we thank them for investing their time and talents here in the city of Olive Branch. Each inductee will now be recognized by someone who will speak on their behalf. Thank you for being here today. Devin, come on.
Good afternoon, everyone. On behalf of the Doddridge family, we'd like to humbly accept this honor. I don't have any prepared comments. Daddy would have thought that pretentious. But I have to admit, I've been blessed to have been affected greatly and surrounded by several men of incredibly high character. They rank, I hate to try to rank them, but my granddaddy, Autry Doddridge, and Daddy, Tommy Doddridge, are probably 1A and 1AA. I won't tell you what order. Daddy was born in Olive Branch on Granddaddy's dairy farm. It was right there across from what's now going to be the Cascades in Lincoln. That part of 305 past Church Road on down. Daddy was a very humble man, a man of great humility. I think about all he did, but you rarely heard of it. He spoke very little of accomplishment. You learn from my father by observing, much like my granddad. Daddy, working with the city, they did great things, the parks, then Mayor Nichols and some of them, a lot of accomplishments. My granddad, with some of the things through some of the city's first utilities. But where they really showed their true colors was how they treated their friends, people at church, called Maples, United Methodist, was a big part of theirs in our life. And the way my father and my grandfather both loved deeply their family and their spouses, my mother. Daddy would have not said much, but you could always observe and learn a great deal because my father was a true servant that carried a servant's heart. He would say that at this moment I have talked too much. I respect how he was, but I will tell you that I see parts of this community and I know that he touched. And I know I could bring it up to him, and he probably would acknowledge it. But I think this is a greater area because of him. Thank y'all for this recognition. My name's Trevor Davis. Mr. Tommy Doddridge, Pastor Oscar Giesland, the lovely Miss Judy Fairfield, and Jim Davis. That takes my breath away. If you're born and raised here, I think you know why. My dad and Oscar conspired against me, and I think the conversation was something like this: "Hey, would you speak for me at the Hall of Fame induction?" "Sure, if you'll, why don't you speak for me?" And they said, "No, you know what? It'll be funny. I'm going to make Trevor do both of them." And so I get to speak on behalf of Pastor Oscar and my dad today. Raise your hand if you've met Pastor Oscar Giesland. Look at that. Now, if you were me, what would you say? What would you leave out? How appropriate is this supposed to be, and how, get the idea. There's a paragraph in each of their bios in your program. Just one each I'm going to read. Here's Pastor Oscar's. Here's my favorite one. You need to read the whole thing. But the 5th paragraph down. This is so olive branch, since we're talking about being inducted into the Hall of Fame of the city. When he and Inez moved to Olive Branch, they made a point to do as much shopping in the city as possible. Now say amen, right? They bought clothes from R.P. Thunderbird's, groceries from Harrison's Grocery, furniture from Vanderbird's, and tires and appliances from Davidson's Western Auto. They took their hurts to Dr. Jones, got prescriptions from Hamilton's Pharmacy, their haircut at Jim's Barber Shop, and ate fried pies and burgers at Alderson's Cafe. I defy you to find a more Olive Branch paragraph anywhere than that. Because when I read that, if you've been around here for a long time, you did the same thing. Do you remember the days before cell phones? And we had things like photos that you could hold in your hand, remember those? And then if you're a child of the 70s and the 80s like me, your mom put all the photos in things called photo albums. And they got so big and heavy, maybe they're probably tucked away at your grandmother's house in some cabinet, and you need like your grandchild to go pick it up. It's so heavy because it's just photos. Well, my mother did that, one for each of her sons. And so mine was in the early to mid-70s, the very first one she ever did. And you get to about page 3, and there's a photo, and Oscar Giesland is in the photo. It's a photo of a ladies' softball team. Miss Inez played, my mother played, Miss Kathy Casey was there. But what stood out about the photo was Oscar's hair. Do you remember the hair that the guys wore in the 1970s? It wasn't a hairstyle, it was a helmet, right? And there's Oscar. Your hair's different today, Pastor, but your grin and your smile's the same. And so there's never been a time that he wasn't a part of my life, just remembering these names. My favorite story about Oscar is one he hasn't heard. I'm a pastor like he, and throughout the year we'll officiate several funerals for people that we know and love, and sometimes people that we don't know. But every pastor knows the awkward moment when you have to get in the hearse at the funeral home with the casket behind you and perhaps someone you don't even know driving you to the funeral, to the cemetery. And so there's a moment, all the cars are getting in line, and so it's kind of awkward. Well, I'm a people person. I want to talk to the guy. So this day, I was trying to think, what am I going to ask the funeral home gentleman to pass the time? And here's what I came up with. So, in Olive Branch, who's officiated the most funerals? As if that's some kind of competition, and it's a notch in the belt. Because I thought it was going to be my pastor, Pastor P.J. Scott, because he'd been here so long. Well, he was number 2. The funeral home fellow said, "Oh, far and away, it's Pastor Oscar Giesland." And I thought about that because Pastor Oscar's church has never been the biggest. How's he burying all these people? Well, what's the secret? And the secret is that if you know Oscar Giesland, he cares for you. And when you need people around you the most, you want somebody presiding over those very precious moments that you believe loves you and cares. And so, I think I heard you preach at Mr. David Lofton's funeral. Was that not too long ago? It was first, and I've heard you preach before. We've been friends for a long time. But it was the first funeral that I was able to hear you preside over, and it all made sense. Oscar, you've been a very successful businessman. You've been a very generous landlord. I know that by experience. Our church rented office space from you one time. But most of all, you love God and you love the people here. And so it just makes sense to me today that we recognize you as someone worthy of the Hall of Fame of Olive Branch. And so from our heart to yours, thank you for all that you've done for us. Thank you for letting me speak on your behalf today. I'll always love you, and I believe this honor is appropriate. Ladies and gentlemen, Oscar Judy. You survived it, Pastor Oscar? Is that all right? Okay, good. Now about our dad. If you know my dad, would you raise your hand? Most of you. Give me a second. My parents are from Arkansas. And they, when they were young, they told me not many people in their family had a college degree. And so they decided that we wanted to go to college. They met in college. My dad was an Augusta Red Devil. And my mom was a Pine Bluff Zebra. Now there's good mascots and there's bad mascots, right? When they came together and started life, they were gifted the conquistadors, right? I don't know if that's an upgrade or not, but they went to college and they looked at their towns that they lived in and they thought, in the future, this place is going to decline. We want to go somewhere and where we can grow a legacy. So they moved to Memphis. They were college athletes together. They met there. Moved to Memphis, and they both, I believe it's true, they both worked in banks in downtown Memphis, and they lived in Frazier when that was a happening place to live. And I don't remember all the details, but a job came open at Bank of Mississippi here in Olive Branch. And so my dad and his best friend Steve, I believe they were hired on the same day, maybe, at Bank of Mississippi. And they were both living in Frazier, and they said, hey, they informed their wives, we're going to move to Olive Branch. And both of them said, what's Olive Branch? And I don't remember if this is true, but I know maybe the only way you could get from Olive Branch to Memphis at that time was 78. I don't know if Hack Cross went into Memphis or not. It wasn't easy to get here. A small town they'd never heard of. They moved here, and my parents hit the rental house lottery. And it's to your right and my left. Now it's restaurants and apartments and a big intersection. But that used to be 80 acres that belonged to Mr. Dutch Frank Nichols. And the rental house that they had was surrounded by 5 other homes. These are our neighbors. I want to tell you their last names so that you can see how Olive Branch we really are. Our neighbors were Vanderburgs, Hoovers, Farabys, Birminghams, and Nichols. And every one of those people impacted the upbringing of me and my brothers in ways that I don't have time to speak about today. But I still need therapy. I think I was 10 years old when I found out I wasn't really related to the Nichols. Because Uncle Milton, which is why we'll always call him that, his parents rented the house to my parents, and then they were our caregivers. And they were our grandparents. And so these are, and then if my dad didn't give you a loan, my mother probably taught you or coached you at school or disciplined you at school, right? So the impact in the community here goes a long way. They built a legacy. Here's the paragraph from my dad.
Jim and Sharon Lynn Turner Davis were married February 13th, 1971. They moved to Olive Branch in 1974 because Jim took a job with the Bank of Mississippi, now known as Bancorp South. They loved the small town feel and the wonderful people they quickly became friends with. They knew this was the place they wanted to put down roots and raise their 3 sons, Trevor, Zach, and Jared. Jim and Lynn now have the joy of watching their 5 grandsons, Dalton, Griffin, Evan, Camden, and Hudson, grow and thrive in Olive Branch. Every now and then, people will come to me and say, "Your dad is so funny." And I say, "I know. He was funny to us." "Your dad is so kind." And I say, "I know. He was so kind to us." "I so admire your dad." And I say, "I know. We admire him too." And the point I'm making is this. What my dad is in public, he also is in private. And so that's his legacy. If you know him, you know the real guy. So for all those who spoke about him, nominated him, and voted for him, on behalf of our family, we thank you so much. Because we are real proud of him too. Ladies and gentlemen, Jim Davis.
Wow, what do I say after that? I'll tell you, winning the record of being the guy that's done more funerals than anybody else is something I never set out to do. I promise you that. Believe it or not, since August the 15th, yesterday I've had my 31st one again. And I asked myself, most pastors are born or called into a community, and they get to know the people around their church and some in the community. When you were born and raised within 20 miles and as active as we've been in business and ball playing and church work and everything, I have had the pleasure of meeting a lot of friends and making a lot of friends. And instead of a problem or a trouble, it has been an honor for me to try to be there for as many families as I can. And I appreciate it so very, very much. And on behalf of myself, I was driving up here and I thought, I was born in Vette, Mississippi, about 20 miles from here. Some of you may know it's about 4 miles east of Independence, Mississippi, down there. Raised on a sharecropper's farm. Lived in one of those dog trot houses. My brothers and I had 4 brothers and a sister. We lost a sister last month. It broke our hearts, you know. But I was thinking up here, standing in one of those cotton fields, way back as a child, never dreaming in all of my life how much I would ever be blessed by the God who loves us and the friends that I have met and made throughout my life. Say this, and then I'll get to what I'm supposed to be saying up here. Paul said that he had finished his course. And can you imagine the people that he met on his course that had some kind of effect and some kind of influence on his life? And I can say the same thing. I look out here and I see many of you that I have been friends with for years and years and years. And I pray that as my course has passed your course, that there would be something there that has been an influence maybe coming from me. Because your course touching my life has certainly been an influence on me. And I pray that that would be all of our dreams, is let my course, as my course passes someone else's, that they would look back and say, I appreciate him or her. It is an honor to stand here this afternoon and say some words about a dear precious friend of mine, Judy Fairfield. I appreciate the Bear Hill family sitting over here. I have buried half of them and married the other half. And had the joy of pastoring several of them, and I mean with great honor. I'll read you a couple of things about Judy that's there in the paper before you, but Judy was born February the 1st, 1951 in Jonesboro, Arkansas. The Gus and Justine Holloway, she had 3 brothers. She moved to Olive Branch in 1966, started to make her mark. Was a great student, loved by everyone, graduated from Olive Branch High School and married Carl Fairfield, which has also been a friend of mine since 1968. They have 2 children, Anthony and Dee Dee. Anthony works for the city of Olive Branch, and Dee Dee took over the flower shop after Judy's death. I've known Judy's family ever since we came to Olive Branch. We came to Olive Branch in 1968, and if you knew her, you loved her. She was always working at something. She graduated beauty school, worked as a beautician 15 years. 1985, she bought the flower shop. In 2008, she opened up her second shop in Kennewick. She sold it, and 4 years later to take care of her mom that was sick. She loved to cook. In 2016, she bought raised fin and feathers. You could go by the restaurant and she'd just be running just like this, just red face. If you ever saw Judy when she was in a hurry, her face would turn red as a beet, but she'd always have that smile. Always have that smile whenever you saw her. She just, her face, as I said, was red, and, but she got sick and had to sell it. She went back to creating those beautiful flower arrangements. And imagine with me, if you can, anybody else in all of Olive Branch history that has ever put as many smiles on faces as Judy Fairfield has. She got a lot of us men out of the doghouse. Many times. I'm looking at my wife over there. She was saying yes. By her beautiful arrangement. Just think of how many high school girls on prom nights and special occasions she has made smile. Or how many sick she has lit up with joy and made feel better with one of her beautiful arrangements. And imagine the thousands of heartfelt thanks at the time of losing a loved one she has given over and over again. As our church, I pastor Meadowbrook Baptist Church, been there 37 years, and I don't know how many different times we have called Judy for some flower arrangements, or in the past few years we would call and ask for a little cross, and then she couldn't get the crosses, and so our church started. She said, "But I got these beautiful little angels, and they're about this high." And some of you family members may have one that she's given. And I cannot tell you how many cards that I have got back thanking us for those crosses or one of those angels that they say this: "We will always remember our loved one each time we look at one of these gifts." And they came from Judy. Judy loved her family, her friends, and the city of Olive Branch, and it's just unmeasurable how much she did. Judy's asset to this city, this county, and several surrounding counties will never be easily forgotten. She's much deserving of this great honor, a 2021 inductee into the Olive Branch Hall of Fame. She would be so proud and so thankful. What an honor to be asked to speak for the act today. Family, thank you for asking me. God bless you. What a dear, precious lady Miss Judy was. Thank you.
Thank you, Reverend Giesland.
you have my full permission to intercede on my behalf to move me a little bit further down that burial list. And if you would like to do that, you certainly have my permission to do so. Good afternoon, I'm Ken Adams. It's an honor for me to serve as mayor of Olive Branch, and it's an honor for me to, on behalf of the city, to congratulate the families and the winners of these recipients today. Mr. Tommy Doddridge, Reverend Oscar Giesland, Jim Davis, and Judy Fairfield absolutely made a difference in the lives of people in this community. I've known several of them for going on 4 decades, and just certainly appreciate it and congratulate you on your reward. Special thanks to the Chamber of Commerce staff, the Hall of Fame board, as well as Jay Nichols for coordinating this meeting. We're right on the money time-wise, and a lot of effort went into that, and thank you so much. Tomorrow being Veterans Day, I would also like to recognize all the veterans with us today. Please stand and be recognized if you are currently serving in the military or if you previously served in the military. On the 11th month, the 11th day at 11 a.m. in 1918, the Allied powers, which the United States was a part of, signed a World War I ceasefire agreement with Germany on a field in France. The next year, in 1919, President Woodrow Wilson designated November the 11th as Armistead Day, which was later changed to Veterans Day by President Dwight Eisenhower. Special thanks to all who have served in the United States military. We are eternally indebted to you. I was asked to provide some updates on the first 120 days in office as mayor of Olive Branch, so we're going to take a little bit of shift, but it's been a great 120 days. A lot of friends and associates they knew me as judge because I was judge for 25 years. So a lot of times when I walk up now, I hear "Ja," and they remember mayor. So I've become known as Ja-Mayor. So Ja-Mayor sounds like a great southern term, and I'm A-OK with being Ja-Mayor. Mayor Sam Riker, the weather mayor, he bills himself as a historian, which he is. He told me after I got elected, he said, "Ken, you're the 23rd mayor to serve the city." That sounded okay. Then he said, "You're the 5th mayor since 1961 to serve the city." That didn't sound too bad. But then he added, "You're the oldest mayor to be elected for the first term in the history of Olive Branch." That didn't sound too good. I mean, I thought I was young and energetic and innovative. Oh, well, 2 out of 3 ain't bad if you listen to Meatloaf. And my Gen X and Gen Z friends, you can Google Meatloaf once you leave here. Succeeding Scott Phillips was easy because he made it easy. He's a fine man with a great heart, and he made that transition very smooth. I'm pleased to call myself friends with all 3 previous mayors. Mayor Milton Nichols, if you would stand, sir. Mayor Sam Riker, who's operating the camera as well. And Mayor Scott Phillips also. Seeing Milton and Sam and y'all knowing Scott, you know we've been on a downhill trajectory as hairstyles since Milton left office. It has been an honor to follow you gentlemen. It certainly has. The first days in office, I worked with the Board of Aldermen and the city department heads to design our FY22 budget, which started October 1 of this year. It's a $110 million budget. The budget included the 18.8 square miles that was annexed, which required 30 new staff positions to support the annexed area from police, fire, engineering, code enforcement, public works. Our first year plan, which is a multi-year plan, includes 455 streetlights being added to the area annexed. Total cost for the first year is $2.8 billion, and we have a 5-year plan that we've committed to deliver services to that area. The budget process was challenging, but we were able to implement it without any tax increase. We're proud and pleased that Olive Branch is the leading city out of the top 4 having the lowest tax rate in DeSoto County. You may know this or you may not, but in the census from 2020, although the state of Mississippi lost some population, the population that was gained from 2010 to 2020, out of the population gained, 50% of it was in DeSoto County. Half the growth in the entire state was in DeSoto County during that 10-year period. So that's phenomenal. The board and I worked together also to implement our recently enacted property maintenance ordinance, which we received a lot of phone calls on that and a lot of support. That allows the city to address houses that are in a state of disrepair, blight, and other issues that create negative images and possibly reduce the value of other homeowners.
The new ordinance allows us to address any home, whether it's a rental home or an owner-occupied home, if it's detracted from the neighborhood. I also began a mayor's award program. It was the very first for our city. You think that sounds pretty easy to do a cash reward for employees like you would in the corporate world, but in city life it's just not quite that easy. So it took approval from the ethics committee, the AG opinion, etc., to get those things in place. The mayor's award uses zero tax dollars. It's funded from private sources, and if any companies would like to participate in that, we're recognizing a performance that's above and beyond, and we're modeling good performance when our employees go above and beyond to support the citizens of Olive Branch. We think that our employees should have a goal to shoot for, obviously, just like in the corporate world. So the employees can be recognized once a month, or recommended once a month, for the mayor's award, and if they're selected, they end up with a $200 cash reward. We know they don't necessarily want a coffee card to go to the coffee shop. They don't want lunch with the mayor. A lot of them want cold, hard cash. So that's what we plan to do to recognize our employees that go above and beyond. The department heads and I developed the city's first mission statement. We thought that was important. Our mission statement is, Olive Branch, Mississippi is one of America's most livable cities where one can live, work, worship, and play without leaving home. The City of Olive Branch municipal government strives to provide efficient and effective public services that promote this quality of life. We believe it's important to have a target to shoot for and to have a goal. I've never seen a team succeed, whether that's sporting or the corporate world, that didn't have a goal to shoot for, and that's what we're doing with our mission statement. One of the changes I made in week one, actually before I was sworn in, was I had our payroll checks changed, where the statement, this check was made possible by the citizens of Olive Branch, included on every payroll check, as a general reminder that we work for the citizens, not vice versa. The planning department, engineering department, and the board of aldermen, we work weekly to ensure that development in Olive Branch is quality that adds to and does not detract from the quality of life. It's been a pleasure working with the board. I know we have several board members here today. If the board of aldermen and alderwomen, if you're present today, please stand up. They are a professional team that everything they do, trust me, the thoughts and needs of the citizens are in the forefront of what they do. I said it over and over on the campaign trail. I said it after the campaign trail, but always, always, always try to let people not only know what they're doing, but people that don't have to do the job. These folks don't have to do it. They want to do it. They want to serve the citizens. They want to make a difference in the city, which is awesome that they're willing to do that. The board and I have made public safety top priority. We've added law enforcement personnel, fire service positions this year, and approved additional resources and tools. Our city judge, Judge Hugh Armstead, has implemented a standing order for any defendant charged with a firearms-related crime. That defendant will be GPS monitored and tracked on house arrest until their entire charge is adjudicated. Olive Branch was honored this year to be named 23rd out of the top 50 cities in the United States to live in by Money Magazine. Olive Branch was the only city in the state of Mississippi to be in the top 50. So hats off to the forefathers and people that have done work to get us there. These type accolades attract quality citizens and businesses to our area. When I was first elected, I assumed that I was probably going to be calling on businesses and going out, kibitzing them, trying to get them to come to Olive Branch, but guess what? That's not the case. People go online, they see our demographics, they see the amenities that we have, and they're calling us every week. Trust me, the Planning Commission and the engineering folks are very busy based on what's going on. The Mayor's Action Center phone line is alive and well. We're fielding calls daily to assist citizens with concerns. Like any organization, we're going to drop the ball from time to time. We get calls about things like leaky water meters, potholes, the garbage being picked up late. We know those things happen and we work to address them. Believe it or not, if the garbage is normally picked up at 2 p.m. on Wednesday, and if it's not picked up by 3, some people are calling. They call, they want that garbage picked up at 2 p.m. So we're working to deliver those services the very best we can. Some calls get very interesting. I had a call, after hours call, a voicemail the other day, and the gentleman said, Mayor, we've got enough Mexican restaurants and oil change places in this city. We need some nice sit-down restaurants. Can you see if you can make that happen? Boom. And he found the phone down. So I heard the voicemail, and I said, well, I agree. We need some nice sit-down restaurants, and they are coming. But I didn't have a person to call back to tell that to. I didn't get a name or a number, so I was kind of stuck in the middle with that one. And then I got an email, not too many months ago when school started, and it said, Mr. Mayor, I voted for you, but when you hear that word, you know you're going to be told something you need to hear. He said, but you laid an egg on the first day of school. And I'm like, man, I laid an egg? I didn't want to do that. So I continued reading, and he said, your police department could have been directing traffic that day at school, but they chose to write traffic tickets that day, and they didn't direct traffic. So you know where the next call went to. Mr. Graham Markham, and he researched it for me, and I got back with the gentleman. I said, yes, sir, we did direct traffic that day. And I said, yes, sir, we wrote tickets at the request of the school to make a point that first day about traffic. We wrote a grand total of 4 tickets, and I sure hate his wife was one of those 4. It happened, and trust me, and she worked at the school, so I hope she's not here today. So I just thank you for his comments, and he agreed, and he said, yes, y'all directed traffic, and I had to take my judge hat off, because I would have said, make sure she pays that ticket on time. But I said, thank you, sir, we'll continue to do the very best we can. Folks have asked if I missed the judge job. I missed it somewhat. It's just interacting with different people is really what it's doing. You got to love people to be in these jobs, and it certainly helps, and it's not a lot of difference. But I did tell the gentleman last night at the Olive Branch Sportsman's Club that I had a friend that was judge that told 2 different people the exact day they would die on. And I said, well, I'm telling you, he did it. And they said, he must have been psychic. And I said, nope, he was a federal judge. It doesn't take much. In my role, you've got to love the people that go home. But to conclude, it's truly an honor to serve as your mayor. We have a lot of great things going on. We can make good government work in Olive Branch. I'm totally convinced that with the resources we have, with the great citizens we have, and the assets we have, if we can't make good government work here, it won't work anywhere. So we can make good government work for you. As we near Thanksgiving, I wish you a happy Thanksgiving, and my prayer is that God will continue to bless you and your families. Thank you for allowing me to serve as mayor of this great city.
Thank you, City of Olive Branch and Bank Plus. And is it not great to be in Olive Branch? Whether you're just a business or a resident or both, I think when you hear all this, it is the people, and it's a great place to live. So congratulations to all the Hall of Fame recipients. Thank you for all your years of service. A few announcements. The Chamber is starting our Connectors activity again and are recruiting connectors. We will have a connectors meeting on Tuesday, November 16th. If you have been active in our chamber for over a year and would like to learn more about the connectors, please call our office and register for Tuesday's meeting. The Business Exchange event. This is new to the chamber. It's another networking event. It's going to be held November 18th from 4:30 to 6. It's sponsored by ServPro, and you can register via invitation that will be sent out this week or this week. Cheryl Burchett is working on our local coupon flyer. If interested, contact our office. And our Christmas parade is December 4th at 2 o'clock. And the city's Christmas tree lighting and activities are December 2nd from 5 to 8 at City Hall and the Wesson House. So we would like to wish everyone a happy Thanksgiving and a holiday season. Very merry. So we're adjourned, and we won't have a luncheon in December, but we will see you in January. So we're adjourned. Thank you.